This is an 18650 battery pack I've made. This is 4S. This is using Panasonic 18650B batteries. They're 3400 mAh. And there are some other batteries you can use. This is also Panasonic, but this one is a protected cell. It has a circuit and you can see the wire going to the bottom. So this, you can't overvolt it or overcurrent it, so it's safe. This one is the best. This is a Samsung. This one's more, oh, this is actually LG. This one's more expensive. There's also Samsung, and that one is 3500 mAh. These are Panasonic's unprotected cells, and the Panasonics usually come in a box like this. Often you can find a lot of fake Chinese ones. These I did buy from China, but they're real Panasonics made in Japan. And this is nickel. This is about 0.1 or 0.15 millimeters thick nickel, and this is what you use to connect the batteries. And here you can see it flows that way, negative, positive. And this is a balanced cable to charge it like a regular quadcopter battery, lithium polymers. 4S balance cables come in a pack like this. You can get 6S of different number of wires. You solder these onto the nickel plate, and then you spot weld the plate onto the batteries. Here are a few battery packs I've made. And then you get some heat shrink that's about 100 mil, because these are 65. So 100 mil will shrink down to 50, which is tight around this. So you cover them to protect them, and don't use tape like I did here. And the way you actually make these is you weld or you solder on these cables with the 3.5mm bullet connectors onto the nickel, which you've cut with some cable cutters. And then the balance wires, you also solder them on. And then once you've done the soldering, you then spot weld them onto the batteries so that the batteries don't get hot from soldering. That's the whole point in spot welding them, is so that you don't solder onto the batteries, so they don't get damaged. And then this is a spot welder. This is a cheap Chinese one. You can see the copper electrodes here. This one can do just under 100 amps, I believe. So this is set to 99, the maximum. Barely enough to solder these. You just push up, and when you push all the way up, this will pop and melt onto the battery. You can see I've done a lot. I have to do several times for each one, make sure the bond is strong. So these battery packs, because they're so high power, they take a while to charge. They're also very slow to charge. They only do about 0.5 C, and at 3.5 amp cells there, that means, well, 1.5 amps, let's say, charge rate, but I would say 1 amp is best. The lower the better. The problem is when you've got 4 of them, that means one at a time. So what you do is you get one of these, charge in parallel. You can connect all of them at the same time, and their balance cables. You just need to make sure that their voltages are about the same, so when you connect them together you don't have high current discharge from one to another, because that's not good. And then the balance chargers connect to your normal charger, and then if they're 1 amp each, then that means you set this at 4 amps, because it will do 1 amp for each one. This is a cheap Chinese charger, it doesn't even have a 12 volt plug, and it's also fake, so it doesn't do the voltage 100% accurately, but it's okay. And in order to get all of these working at the same time on your device or quadcopter or whatever you're using powering the home, you need to connect them in parallel, so you need to make a parallel bullet connector for your standard output. So those are difficult to make. Some people make them with a circuit board, power distribution board. The problem with those is the tracks are very thin and not as thick as a wire, so I don't recommend those. It's better to have a banana cable if you can find one online. I made my own because I couldn't afford one. This is a really bad job because you need a really powerful soldering iron. Again, I don't have that. So now I'm just going to show that these work. I'm going to connect to this quadcopter I've been working on. And it's not going to run because I don't know what code I put in here, but it's controlled by Bluetooth, so yeah. They work fine. They don't blow up basically. I've tested them before. Okay, so now I slid some of this heat shrink 100mm over the 65mm batteries. It just fits because there's also the 18mm thickness, so it just fits. I'm going to use a heat gun like this one to shrink them. Heat shrink takes a while to heat up. So now it's at 200, I'm just going to gently heat it up. This is what it looks like when it's finished, the heat shrink. It's pretty good. So to the others now. So that is how to make 4S battery packs, or 18650 battery packs I should say. You can see, nice and tight, electric safety.